Support WrestleTalk!
Oh, bask in his glory. 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 Keith Lee to AEW confirmed. Keith Lee is all elite, and it was perfect. I am Luke Owen, DAD, and I am joined by your Jam That Champion. He is LIW 444L, Pete Quinnell.
Hi, that was a hell of an intro.
You're welcome, mate.
Thank you. I don't get that kind of respect elsewhere. This is great.
Because you run your own show.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
You could do this intro for yourself. You just choose not to.
I like to share the credit with my intangible co-host Tempest, so I just like to make it nice and even. I don't like to put myself on a pedestal above him or anything. That would be mean and rude.
Well, I'm not going to be rude about this episode of Dynamite.
Oh, it was good, wasn't it?
That's not true. There was some. I thought the first half hour.
Oh, mate.
Some of it we'll get to it.
We'll get to that. Yeah.
We'll get to it. But first, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Thank you so much for sponsoring this episode, BetterHelp, and you can get yourself better help. Because we here at WrestleTalk truly believe in support WrestleTalk, support each other, support yourself. We had Eddie Kingston on the show last Friday, and he spoke very, very openly and passionately about mental health and talking and being open and honest and really just talking about your struggles and stuff rather than trying to internalize them as previous generations like my dad's generation and my dad's generation would have done. This is particularly, and I'm not generalizing here, it's particularly bad within lads. Mm-hmm. And I think we have, I've been guilty of it myself. But over the last few years, I have been much more open to the idea of talking about your feelings and your emotions, and that is good, and BetterHelp can help you do that. It is not a crisis line. It is not self-help. It is professional therapy done securely online. If anyone wants to talk to them via text message, you can do. Over the phone, you can do. Video calls, you can do. And it is available worldwide. And if you use our promo code WRESTLE, click the link in the video description down below, use the promo code WRESTLE, and get 10% off your first month.
Good stuff. I'm really happy that we're doing something like this.
Yes.
As anyone who's heard podcasts for years and stuff will know that I've personally gone through a lot of mental health struggles and stuff like that. So it's really cool that we're able to help you guys help yourselves as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm really pleased that BetterHelp have come on board, because I know they've sponsored a few podcasts that I listen to that I'm actually I'm a regular listener of. And it's a sponsorship that I'm like, oh man, if we could get that sort of sponsor, that would make me feel really not good about myself, because that makes it feel like it's good because I want to be able to extend that out to people.
Extend positivity.
Exactly, yes. That's BetterHelp, HELP. Click the link in the video description down below. Right, let's talk about Keith Bloody Lee.
Yes!
I was so excited to watch this episode of Dynamite this morning. I got up super duper jazzed because we had the tease on Rampage that we were going to have a new debut. Then Tony Khan put out his incredibly confusing tweet where he essentially created, what did I call it? The free Baden. Oh, I called it something. The free agent door or something.
Sure, yeah.
Dargent or something. Yep. Anyway, he said that it was a forbidden door and a free agent, which doesn't actually make sense. And that's what led to also Jay White being on this show.
Yes.
LOL.
Which we'll talk about later.
Which we'll talk about in a bit. Actually, I mean, for me, the two kind of are linked together.
That's true. Yeah, we'll talk about both.
We'll talk about both because they had a segment with Roppongi Vice backstage, and Roppongi Vice get attacked by the Young Bucks and Adam Cole. And then all of a sudden, Adam Cole is like, we've got some other help here. And Switchblade Jay White walks onto the stage, and he shows off his jacket, and then he's got this big groovy grin on his face because he's Jay White and he's lovely and all of this sort of stuff. And I thought, apparently this was done as a last minute thing. It was only agreed as of last Sunday, so it's only 4 days before this aired.
Yeah.
Because Tony made a mistake in his tweet.
Yep.
Because Tony put Forbidden Door and free agent, he was like, whoa.
That's wrong.
That's wrong.
It's just incorrect.
I now need to get a Forbidden Door thing.
Yep.
So he called in on Jay White, and Jay White is showing up. So I'm curious to see what Jay White's going to do. It also acted as a brilliant misdirect because we weren't expecting both a Forbidden Door and a free agent. I then thought Jay White was going to face Isaiah Cassidy. So Isaiah Cassidy comes out, private party, and I'm sitting there thinking, at the start of the show, I was 100% I'm pretty sure it's Keith Lee.
Yep.
Like, and that's weird to say. I was 100% pretty sure, but like,
Yeah.
if I was a betting man, and I am not, I would have said it was Keith Lee.
Same.
Outside of, if it wasn't him, I was thinking maybe Wyndham, but like Keith Lee was where my money was sort of riding on, right?
Yeah.
Until the Jay White thing.
And
And then I was like, oh man, now I don't know who it is.
And especially because right at the end of that segment, Jay White came in, did his thing, walked off, and the commentators were like, well, stay tuned for more. And it was like, it felt like they were going to lead into a follow-up Jay White segment after the ad break, which is really confusing because then Isaiah Cassidy came out for the entrance and they cut to an ad break. It was like, so is he facing Jay White? Is this going to be like a follow-up to that? And no, they didn't. It was a misdirect for what was coming next.
And then on the screen, it just says, I am limitless.
Oh.
And it comes up. And Keith got such a wonderful, wonderful pop.
I couldn't believe this.
Here are my notes verbatim. I have the biggest smile on my face. What a pop. And he is proper Keith Lee. He slowly reveals he's not wearing a stupid t-shirt. The crowd shout, bask in his glory. Keith looks like he's having the best time. Oh my God, that Jessica Biel. He proper threw him to the moon. Like, it was... You and I did the Punk debut episode of Rampage. The review of it.
Yeah.
And we said there, it was a perfect wrestling return. Like, the most perfect wrestling return ever. I'm going to get your thoughts on this first, because I've got a bit of a story to tell, and I think I've talked enough already as it is. What did you make of this?
This was perfect. This was absolutely perfect, because this showcased everything you wanted to see in a Keith Lee debut. This showed everyone who was familiar with Keith Lee, hey, this is what he used to do back in NXT on the Indies. Did you miss that? Here it is. Look at all this great stuff he can do. He can throw Isaiah Cassidy all the way across the ring, which was amazing. He can swat him out of midair. He can do the leapfrog. He can do the big crossbody. He can slingshot over the top rope. And, in the post-match stuff, like he can catch Mark Quinn from the side and hit this huge powerbomb and stuff like that. It was all the points of Keith Lee you want to hit while leaving so much for him to give in bigger and bigger matches when he comes later. Doing like the moonsaults off the top ropes and the flips and all the crazy stuff that Keith Lee can do. All of that's still in the tank for later down the line. And for people who are unfamiliar with Keith Lee, they go, oh my God, this big guy is doing all this crazy athletic stuff without showing all the big stuff that's going to come later. They haven't just spaffed it all in one go. This was absolutely perfect. It showed everyone what they need to see, why they need to care about Keith Lee. Absolutely perfect.
I love the Blue Meanie put it up on Twitter being like, when I was wrestling, like my big man icon was Bam Bam Bigelow. Like, that's how I wanted to wrestle. And to be the agile big man, it was Bam Bam was who I was trying to be. Future generations are going to look at Keith Lee. This is the Blue Meanies thought. Like future generations, they're going to look at Keith Lee as the blueprint of how to be an agile big man.
Yeah.
So to kind of take you on a bit of a story, on a bit of a journey.
Please do.
I've been doing the WrestleTalk podcast now for 5 years. I think we're going on for nearly 5 years or so.
Sure.
I've certainly been working with WrestleTalk for coming up for 5 years. And one of the first things that Ollie and I did together when I started working here full time was we went to a Rev Pro show. And that was the Rev Pro show with Keith Lee versus Tomohiro Ishii.
Yeah.
And if you're a long time watcher and long time listener to this, I have talked about this match out the wazoo. It's the greatest match I've ever seen in my life. It's apart from the hardcore triple threat at WrestleMania,
of course. Yeah.
But it is a perfect match, and it's the match that made me go like, damn, this Keith Lee guy is amazing. And we did a podcast maybe a few weeks later, maybe a month or so later. We used to do sort of like Twitter questions and stuff. We were like, post up on Twitter, like, hey, what would you want us to talk about? And people would send us stuff. The very last question we had on an episode was someone asked, who from the indies would you love to see signed with WWE?
Yep.
And me and Ollie looked at each other and we said, like, we're in agreement, right? 3, 2, 1. Looked at the camera and went, Keith Lee. And when I said that, and I was like, I really want to see Keith Lee go to WWE because I want to see him on the biggest platform possible to show the world what he can do. This is what I meant.
Yep.
This is what I had in mind. This is exactly what I had envisioned of Keith Lee going to the big leagues. I'm doing big Bucky O'Hare quotes for podcast listeners. The big leagues, and showing what he could do and why Keith Lee is so special.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I wanted to see from a Keith Lee debut. And that's not to completely take away with what WWE did in his first couple of weeks, because I think we can often overlook he beat Randy Orton on
Clean.
pay-per-view, clean as a sheet, in about 8 minutes,
Yeah.
in a time when Randy was not losing.
And also, they'd showcased him really prominently at Survivor Series the previous year.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. And at the
The
Royal
Royal
Rumble,
Rumble
right?
with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, with Brock Lesnar. Like, they had teased Keith Lee a couple times and whetted our appetite for when Keith Lee got up to the main roster. And when he came up, granted the first week, lost by DQ and all that, but at the first pay-per-view, Payback, he won clean against Randy Orton, started off great. Perfect.
But there was that, like, but he's in a t-shirt.
Yeah. But the music's
The
different.
music's different.
Yeah.
Like, something doesn't feel quite right about Keith Lee.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't my
Mhm.
Keith Lee.
Yeah.
I don't think that's Keith Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And the longer he spent on the main roster, I know he was out for a large portion, but the longer he was there, the less good he seemed. And
The less special.
the less
he was.
special is a really, really good way to describe it.
Yeah.
And then all the Bearcat stuff.
Yeah.
And then they released him. And when we did our like reaction live streams to the releases and stuff, and we did a podcast afterwards, there were a few names of being like, "Oh my god, how could you release that?" Swerve Scott was one of them, like a big one. Keith Lee was a huge one. And people were like, "How do you drop the ball?" And I watched the video recently of Keith versus Brock at the Rumble.
Yeah.
Because like they were sharing that clip around on Twitter, right? And every single time I saw it, and I watched it multiple times, I was like, it is impossible for you as a wrestling promoter to look at that. You booked this. Like Vince booked this spot. He booked Keith to be in this spot with Brock. So you as a booker, you have put this man into this position. You have then watched him do that spot and watched the crowd react to that spot, watched how Brock was reacting to that spot and how they got massively over, and then go, well, I need to change every single thing about it then.
Yeah.
Like, it's maddening. It's absolutely maddening. So for me, as a huge Keith Lee mark, for someone who has loved Keith Lee for many, many years on the indies, and actually his time in NXT as well, even that got off to a bit of a rocky start, but his latter part of it was superb. To see him come out here, there was no stupid t-shirts. There was no stupid nickname. There was no stupid music. In fact, it was rad music.
It was great music.
And he was Keith Lee again.
He was.
And he looked like the Keith Lee I used to watch in front of like 500 people in Rev Pro. And it was so cathartic and wonderful. And just, I loved every single second of this. And it looked like he loved every single second of this as well. Like, he walked to the ring, biggest smile on his face. And when the crowd started doing Bask in His Glory, I was like, I have missed this so much. This is the audience that Keith should be in front of.
Yeah. Literally, my notes of you saying that Keith is enjoying himself, I wrote, Keith is in his effing element. I have missed him so much. And that's not, I've missed him from his release from WWE. This is, I miss old Keith Lee. That is what I'm missing.
I miss this,
and I'm seeing him back, and he looked so good. The match was perfect.
Perfect. It was a greatest hits match.
It's a greatest hits match, and that's all you wanted this to be. They got in a little bit of offense, which is good. I didn't think you want to do a complete squash of Isaiah, considering he was just going for the TNT Championship and stuff. But him just coming in, doing the throw he did at the start, the very first thing he does, is probably one of the best spots of the match. And the crowd went ballistic for it.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, he pushes Cassidy into the corner. If you haven't seen the match, which, by the way, you should.
Please watch it. It's on YouTube.
He pushes Cassidy into the match, grabs him, and then he Jessica Biels him. Swoof! Like,
that is the definition of a yeet.
Yeah, right?
He yoked him. What's the past tense of yeet? Yeeted?
Yeah,
Yoked?
yeah,
Yate?
I like yoted.
Yoted. He yoted him across the ring.
And actually, not take anything away from Cassidy, because Cassidy made him look incredible.
So good.
Like, it's not hard to make Keith Lee look great.
No.
But Isaiah Cassidy's selling of this, Matt Hardy's selling of this, Mark Quinn selling of this, like the three of them reacting to Keith Lee coming down to the ring put over how special this felt.
It's all big boy. Again, it's the same thing as Brock. Brock going, oh god, this guy's special.
Yeah.
All these guys, granted not the same level as Brock, but all of them being like, yeah, we're ready for this match, let's go. Keith Lee's minute to get, they go, oh, balls.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it proves that, oh god, you need to take Keith Lee seriously.
Yeah, it was just absolutely pitch perfect. The commentary team did a great job of putting him over. A lot of like, look at the size of this guy, but look how he moves and all this sort of stuff. And he did his greatest hits.
Yeah.
Did the Beal, swatting him out of the air, doing the slingshot splash
Did
and all
the
this
pounce.
sort of stuff. The pounce, exactly, and all this sort of stuff. Cassidy was the perfect person to put him in.
Yeah.
He wins the match with the Big Bang Catastrophe.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, Private Party started to beat him down. And I was like, oh man, this is a weird way. Because like they kick him out of the ring. And I was like, what's a weird way to end this debut. Like, you almost had that perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cassidy leaps over the top rope, and effortlessly, Keith just catches him and be like, "And what of it?"
All right. Yeah.
So Mark Quinn looks at this and is like, "Huh, can he do it with both of us?" So Mark Quinn runs against the ropes. Little did he know that Keith Lee had just dropped Isaiah Cassidy, and he was like, "And now I'm ready to catch you."
Yeah.
And Quinn does this tope con hero going over, and Keith Lee catches him without flinching into a powerbomb position, and catches him being like, "And?"
Yep. And then powerbombs him onto Cassidy. It was so good. And then picks him up again and powerbombs him onto the edge of the apron. Like, this was absolutely perfect. Like, I don't know if you heard this, because I think you were on a call with Laurie a little bit ago. Andy just went to me and he was like, "I actually haven't seen Keith Lee's debut. I should probably watch that." And I was like, "Yeah, please do." And he sits next to me in the office, so I could see him watching it. The instant, like, Andy doesn't watch wrestling the same way we do. I don't think. Not to crap on Andy or anything, but him watching his debut was exactly what I wanted someone to react to this debut like. Like, he came out and he was like, "Oh, he looks really good." And then he comes up, he does the first throw, and Andy's just there going, "Jesus." And I was like, "That's right, Andy. That is the correct reaction."
And that's great, right? Because that is someone who, like, Andy is not a big watcher of wrestling.
No, he's not.
He really isn't. And that's not like say, like, "Oh my God, we're not trying to bury Andy or anything." Like,
Not at
Andy
all.
enjoys watching wrestling with people. So, like, he
Absolutely.
doesn't tend to watch it by his lonesome. So he is the sort of fan that you're trying to capture. The sort of fan you're trying. And that's what Keith Lee does. That's what's so great about Keith Lee. That is what okay. If you are watching this video, either live or you're in the comments afterwards, and you message me or you leave a comment that just says, "I don't think Keith Lee is that special. I don't see the appeal." There's part of me that's just like, well, you know, everyone is entitled to their opinion.
Yeah.
There's another part of me that's just like, get in the sea. And then, that seems a bit cruel. Get yourself out of the sea, put yourself in a bin, and get back in the sea. Because he's amazing. Like, he's really good. I've seen it.
That sent me through a loop. That was great.
Like, cringe wrestling takes on Twitter
Yeah.
is almost like, he was saying the other day, what a nice guy that he is as well. He's said today, he's like, he can almost create a new Twitter account that is people who have changed their mind on Keith Lee. People when he was in WWE to being like, "Oh my God, Keith Lee is a future star. Keith Lee is that." And now he's gone to AEW being like, "Nah, Keith Lee sucks. He was never that good." He's literally like finding all of these people. The Venn diagram is a circle of people who are saying Keith Lee is not the big signing that Tony Khan promised. Said 2 years ago, Keith Lee should main event WrestleMania. He should win the Royal Rumble. It is an absolute circle because there are people who see Keith Lee and be like, "He is awesome. He is amazing. He's an incredible special talent, and I want to see him succeed." And I'm so gosh darn happy for him.
Dude, that's it, right?
Oh my God, I'm so thrilled.
What a week for Keith
What
Lee.
a week.
Getting married as well a few days ago, and then debuting on Dynamite here. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
And especially after everything he went through with all like the COVID complications and everything that he had, like, I'm so thrilled that he's at AEW now. And Keith, if you're watching this, you liked my tweet. That means we're best friends. Message me on Twitter.
We love you, Keith.
We love you so much, Keith.
And I loved this debut. It was absolutely perfect. I should say as well, he's now in the Face of the Revolution ladder match.
Oh my God, it's him and Wardlow in the same match. I want it so bad.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Revolution.
Absolutely cannot wait. We'll talk a little bit more about the Jay White thing in a little bit. In fact, we're going to review the entire show in a little bit. But let's get into your Ultrachats, because boy howdy, do you have a lot of thoughts to say about this Keith Lee debut. There are nearly 2 pages worth of people just talking about Keith Lee's debut.
Good,
here.
as they should.
Bloody exactly. Jack Nichols says, "He's here. I love Keith Lee so much. Such a gorgeous, charismatic, and athletic man. He looked so happy too. Great show, great promos, great matches. Fantastic show. Pete sounds like Cad Icarus, which is a compliment. What's your favorite Slam Master J match?" Now, I'm just actually going to ignore Jack's singing there, because I don't think I've ever said this before. I've had that same thought. I've watched Caddy videos before, and I was like, Caddy's delivery is a lot like Pete.
I have seen Cad Icarus's name around. I haven't watched any of the videos though, so maybe I should do that.
Yeah,
and I'll.
And I wasn't saying like, "Oh, Pete's just lifted himself off."
Yeah, just Caddy. Bloody copycat.
No, but there have been times where I'm like, man, Caddy really reminds me of Pete.
Yeah.
And it is a massive compliment, because Caddy's great.
Well, that's good.
I also recommend people watch Cad Icarus's videos as well, because he is hysterically funny.
Just like me.
Absolutely, yeah. If you are like an aspiring YouTuber and you're like, I don't know how to do a good sponsor video, watch Caddy.
Yeah.
Like, Caddy. It's like Caddy and Tomska are like the great examples. Anyway, Double Beef Gaming says, hi guys, long time listener, first time Omega chatter. So happy for Keith Lee. I popped for him almost as much as I did for Danielson and Punk. You guys in AEW got me back into wrestling after I got laid off in 2020 due to the pandemic. Much love. P.S. I like the new rating scale, Ollie. Just that you should anchor it to where 50% is average. Bask in his glory.
He gave this show a 95%. I'll be honest, Luke. I don't understand Ollie's rating scale. I don't know what he's doing with it.
Like, it was fine the way it was. Like, I know people didn't get it because, like, you know, oh, you're right. Like, you said many times it's on a different scale.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine. Like, I get why people didn't like it as well.
I thought it was fine. I still think he was a bit harsh sometimes in not giving fives. There was a couple I was
100%.
I was like, come on, Ollie, this was a 5.
On.
But other than that, I totally understand the scale, and I think it makes sense. And now he's just been peer pressured into changing it to percentages.
He's going to change it again.
Yeah, of course he is.
Kit said, I was having a rough week, and seeing Keith Lee come out completely cheered me up. The crowd reaction was amazing. I'm so happy he's back, bask in his glory. Just want to say, actually, now the other thing about the crowd, I'm going to pass over to you for Ultrachats as well, so I can have a drink of the old water. Stay hydrated, everyone. Ollie said to me the other day, I think it was last week, in fact, on the AEW review, that is Keith Lee a big enough name to be this sort of like level of debut? I can't remember if it was on the AEW stream or maybe it was just we were just chatting about it, whatever or so. And I said that there's AEW and WWE are very different animals. WWE is a casual market thing, and you do have to be a big name. If you are teasing a big name in WWE, I don't think it then can be an NXT call-up. Because we as we here would be well into that. Like if Keith Lee was that name, you'd be like, oh my God, it's Keith Lee here. But I would say 65% of WWE's audience is that hardcore audience. They'll be like, oh my God, Keith Lee, bask in his glory. While the other 35% are just the families there who are going to see because Raw's in town, right?
Yeah.
And won't know who the guy is, won't know what the song is. And eventually, over time, they will get used to it and things like that. AEW is a 100% audience that is like us.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why they have a ceiling. They will never get the same level of ratings as Raw and SmackDown because they have a ceiling. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Like TNT and TBS are very happy with their ratings, but they do have that ceiling, which is that hardcore audience. And I know that WWE would say, like, that's a problem. I don't think it is. But what it means is that when you have 100% of people who are like us, when a Keith Lee comes out, everyone knows bask in his glory, which means the entire audience does, the entire arena does it, and it sounds and it feels epic.
Yeah. I genuinely, I a little bit forgot, because it was all about the Limitless stuff, and it was all like, it's Limitless Keith Lee, and the Titantron says Limitless. I almost forgot about the bask in his glory type thing, until the crowd started chanting it some more, and I was like, I missed this so much. This is perfect. Oh man. Yeah, it added to the debut so much, hearing that crowd do that. And I agree with your points.
Thank you.
Before.
There's a comment that someone left on a news video I did recently when I was talking about how great Keith Lee was and about how, like, you know, he's been made a star elsewhere apart from WWE. And someone messaged me and like, I don't know why you guys rate so Keith Lee so much. He's never drawn anywhere. And I was like, I've been to many Rev Pro shows. I've actually been to multiple shows where Keith Lee has been a headline act and it has sold out off the back of his name being announced.
Yeah.
And their response was like, well, that's not really being a draw. Like, you draw like 500 people to Rev Pro in York Hall. Like, he hasn't main evented WrestleMania. I was like, I don't think you know what a draw is.
He hasn't drawn anywhere. Not there.
He hasn't drawn anywhere. I mean, apart from all these places, but that hasn't really drawn.
Not there. I mean, specifically WWE. Jacob Smith said, this was the main roster debut Keith Lee deserved. A reminder of why NXT was so precious to me once. How AEW can put so much on in a single show and still have so much on the table for the pay-per-view is beyond me. I want a weekly manifest of trios titles, etc., etc. Yeah, absolutely spot on. Like, this show was completely stacked, and I was like, we had like 2 pay-per-view caliber matches on this show, which is kind of wild.
Yeah.
Keith Lloyd said, bask in his freaking glory. Keith Lee debuting gave this a 100% for me. AEW is building big man wrestlers way better than WWE right now. Also, Hangman is putting on bangers right now as champion. Respect the cowboy, Ollie. Jam that mofo, jam.
It's going to be so nice doing a show with someone that actually likes Hangman Page as champion.
He's great.
He is great.
Ollie hates him.
I don't know why.
I don't know why either. Stuart Ellis said, "You're dead right. Keith Lee was perfect. His new music fits him brilliantly, and for me, the Sting is right up there in AEW straight away." The Sting is right up there. Oh, right, yeah, no, like the start of it. Okay, the bloody Bearcat is here. Can we see him yeet people into the next week's Dynamite all the time, please? Bye. Yes, please. I love that. Lakshmi Narasimhan B said, "It was great seeing Keith Lee on Dynamite. It was even greater seeing limitless Keith Lee with his typical gear instead of a darn singlet. It was even better seeing Keith Lee yeeting people across long distances. Cole must have had flashbacks seeing that." Yes. Oh, they're back in the same company again. It's the greatest wrestling gif of all time. Plasma PT said, "Morning, Luke and Pete. By the time you see this, I'll be at the dentist. Did you guys notice that Keith's trunks were the same colors as the Bearcat singlet, and that Matt looked a little sad that it wasn't Jeff? Sammy should referee that tag match next week."
No, I like that Sammy's not involved in.
Yep.
Like, I think it's actually a good thing. Oh, we didn't actually mention in the match on commentary. So Matt leaves Private Party at ringside because he sees them being beaten up, right? And he's just like, "I've had enough of this." Did you hear what commentary said? Matt's acting very erratically at the moment.
Ah, yes. Very specific reference.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah, I wonder what that could possibly be referencing. Oh my god, we've got so many more about this. Mitchell Johnson said, "AEW is now officially limitless. Obviously, we could go on forever fantasy booking Keith Lee, but after Revolution, I'm curious as to what you all think the limitless one should do. Hashtag Bask in his glory. Hashtag jam that jam."
I'm torn on that. I had Wardlow down to win the Face the Revolution because I think him then winning the TNT Championship and being forced to hand it over to MJF is such a beautiful story.
Yep.
But now Keith's there.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's easy enough in a multi-man ladder match to not have Keith win, and he can still very much stay strong out of that, and he's very protected in the loss. I do also want him to just win the TNT title, though. Like, come straight in, win, get the title.
Particularly because the story they were telling with Sammy, prior to all the Cody stuff,
yes,
was that no one won the TNT Championship on their first try. Like, that was the story they were telling with, like, Tony Nese, and there was a couple of other lads as well that were like, that was the, runners, they were like,
Bobby Fish
was one of them, wasn't he? It was just like, oh no, my first try in one of my first matches, I'm going to win the TNT Championship, and Sammy kept beating him. So I think for Keith to be that guy, I think it's really awesome.
It would be fantabulous. Fred Wurst says, September last year, Fightful reported on the rumored pictures WWE made to Adam Cole's character, including cutting his hair and managing Keith Lee. 134 days later, and Keith is poised for a TNT title run while Cole vies for their world title. This company.
It's incredible, isn't it?
So great. Omar Josue said, God, does it finally feel good to say that AEW is now basking in limitless glory. Now a pitch. Keith Lee goes on to win the TNT title, to then go on to a feud with Danielson. Oh! Yes. 25-minute match of meat-slapping glory. Uber technicality versus unparalleled strength. I want that so bad.
I saw someone in the chat say Keith versus Darby.
Oh. Keith versus Cole. Give me that. Give me...
Keith versus Miro.
Keith versus
Keith versus Miro.
Keith versus Moxley.
Keith versus Kingston.
Keith versus Omega.
Oh! Oh! Oh my god, Keith versus Penta.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, this is great. Oh. Lovely stuff.
I need so much more Keith Lee in my life.
Edgar has been a Memberg for 3 months in a row. Not going to lie, when WWE released Keith Lee, I immediately cancelled my Peacock membership and decided to give WrestleTalk my money instead. 0 regrets. LIW for life. Zephyr the First, regarding Keith Lee being put over in, even his title card said, has held 11 championships in 8 different promotions. I'm so glad he's being billed as a proper big star.
Absolutely.
Excellent point. Garrick Morgan said, the 180 fans take on Keith Lee. I'm convinced fans are just mad because they know WWE could not do the right thing and could have done this very thing but better, but probably won't.
Yep.
Yeah. It's tribalism.
Yeah.
Chozo55, Keith Lee showing up to me was Ollie's reaction to CM Punk's return. Never have been so happy to see someone who WWE gave up on show up in AEW and show people why he was so beloved in NXT.
Agreed.
Naomi, definitely a 95% rating with Keith Lee appearing. This episode was amazing. Thank you for all, the WrestleTalk family, for all you do for us. Thank you for watching. Vash TS 1984, Keith Lee having PWG style matches. Yes, please. in AEW against people who can make it makes me happy. Now all we need is Ricochet and all will be right with the world.
That would be a great name to go. I don't know if he's going to go,
No.
honestly. I feel like he's quite comfortable and happy where he is, just from the vibe I've got from his social media presence and stuff. But we'll see.
And lastly for now, Phil Buckley has said, people keep saying Keith will be on Dark in 3 weeks, and I don't think people understand. That's a good thing. The more top guys show up on Dark from time to time, the more eyes the show gets. YouTube are where most eyes are going to be. I don't fully agree with that, because I think you can literally look at Dark numbers and compare those to the TV ratings to see that way more people are tuning into. I get your point that people like him might make more people watch Dark, but I think even then that has got a ceiling.
Yeah,
and I think they have hit that ceiling already.
I also think that yeah, like you said, keep these showing up in Dark is not a bad thing.
No.
It's not necessarily to help Dark, though. It's just because it's good to have people showcasing and doing fun matches and getting wins.
Absolutely, yeah. It gets you win-loss records.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's 100% a good thing.
Yeah,
before we get into the rest of the show, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. You'll be matched within your therapist in under 48 hours. Please click the link in the video description down below. Use our promo code WRESTLE and get yourself 10% off your first month. This is available worldwide. It is not a crisis line. It is not self-help. It is professional therapy done securely. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today, and so do we. Right. I thought that this episode had, I don't want to say a rocky start, because I loved the opening segment.
Okay.
But then I thought the following match didn't work for me.
Whoa, okay.
And then we got the Inner Circle stuff. So there was part of me that was like, man, this first like half an hour, 40 minutes of this show has been a epic amounts of talking and not a lot of action. And that makes me concerned. It's amazing actually, like the second half, considering how much chat they had in the first half, they absolutely packed it with action in the second half of the show.
Did.
So my only negative caveat I have to this is that I feel like there was slightly too much talking. And I think that the Inner Circle are not as over as Chris Jericho thinks they are.
No, not at all.
But before we get to that, we had MJF's crowning segment because he beat CM Punk twice in Chicago last week. And I loved so many of the little details in this. For starters, Wardlow doesn't get his entrance.
Nope.
Wardlow is being made to go down to the ring carrying standees of MJF that he can put in the ring. He then stands in the ring with the standees. And then Justin Roberts brings out members of the Pinnacles. FTR come out with their big intro. Sean Spears comes out with his big intro. And then Justin Roberts is given this massive manifest that he's got to read out with this huge long intro for MJF. So right there, that's wonderful. Wardlow's character selling of all of this is so good.
It's so simple and so effective. All he has to do is look a bit miffed for
Yeah.
it. Perfect. That's all you need to do. And he does it so well. Also, there was a red carpet, but it was the scarf. It was like MJF scarf colors all the way down, which was great. Love a little detail.
So good. And then MJF comes out being carried like Jabba's cousins from Book of Boba
On
Fett.
a palanquin. I love it.
Just being carried on the ring. And then there's this redhead that's there. And he just starts making out with this redhead, this big sloppy, making out over her face and stuff. And it's like,
and it was such a good misdirect because he had one of them on the one side just gave him a kiss on the cheek. So then he went over to the other one. You're expecting her to give him a kiss on the cheek, and he just makes out with it in the most gross way.
It's such a gross clip. It was so good though.
Yeah.
And then he cuts this promo. And it's a very, very good promo. It's a really good MJF promo. My favorite moment of this though is when he's like, I couldn't have done it without the help of one man. And there's such a little smirk from Wardlow where he's like, finally some recognition.
Yeah.
And MJF's like, without this guy, I never would have beaten him, this, that, and the other. And that man's name, Wardlow takes a step forward, is Sean Spears.
If you hadn't warmed up with me, buddy, then I never would have been ready for the match. So good.
My god! Apparently, the redhead is MJF's real life girlfriend.
Oh wow! I did not know that.
I did not know that. That's really funny. That's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. CM Punk comes out. I love the fact he came out to no music.
Same.
Love that. And he basically calls over Tony Schiavone to say I've got something I want to say to MJF. And he was like, look, I didn't beat you last week. And since I've been in AEW, I have been an island. And that has been a mistake of mine. Now, I'm no longer an island. I've got some friends. Out comes Sting and Darby Allin. They've got baseball bats and stuff. And I'm like, oh, yeah, cool. We're ready to go here. And Punk wants a rematch. And I love this little detail as well. Because this is Punk working MJF. Where he's like, I want a rematch. And Punk's like, I'm not going to give you one. It's like, I don't want a rematch with you. I want it with Wardlow. The appealing to the narcissism of MJF meant that MJF was being overlooked by someone that he thinks is beneath him.
Yeah.
So that makes MJF then accept basically to terms to get a rematch between him and Punk. I thought it was actually a really, really nice small detail.
I did like it. I feel like if I'm going to have a nitpick, which that's my thing, is that it did get a little bit confusing at times. Yeah. Where it was like, I want a rematch with Wardlow. And MJF's like, no, it should be me, but also not me. And you need to get another tag partner that's not Sting and Darby. And then they can have a match against FTR. And then Dax is going to cut a promo. And then if they win, they can get a rematch with maybe Wardlow, maybe MJF. I don't really know what's happening, but I know there's some stakes. I was a bit confused about who's doing what here.
I've literally written my notes here. That was all a bit convoluted, but I didn't mind it.
Yeah, like it was really fun, and I liked that there was stakes, and you know the Punk versus a tag partner of his choice versus FTR is a really fun idea. I was just like, I think it just needed to be a bit clearer as to what the stakes are as the final like resolution of the segment kind of thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was slightly. They over-egged the pudding ever so slightly. And I get that's the point of it because it was lots of MJF worming his way out of situations. So I totally get it from that aspect, but I do think it was slightly... And this is kind of like where I feel like this whole episode has got a bit of a rocky start. Because Sting and Darby Allin are out, next to Punk, right? But they're not allowed to be his tag partners. The next segment we get is Sting and Darby Allin backstage talking to Andrade. Yeah. And then the very next segment is Wardlow doing an entrance for a match. Yeah. And I was like, why didn't Wardlow just stay out there?
Yeah. I didn't mind it. Again, this was another part of the promo that I wish they focused a bit more on, was MJF saying, oh, Wardlow, you got a match next. I would have much preferred Wardlow be like, wait, what? Like, I'm not ready. I don't have my gear. I don't have anything. He's like, well, tough kind of thing. And then he has to wrestle in, like, you know, his suit pants or whatever. Yeah. I would have preferred that, because then he had to go backstage to then get changed to come out to do his entrance. And what they wanted him to do was to have his entrance, because he didn't get one in the opening bit, which makes sense. I get it. But also, I feel like it would have served the story a bit better if he had to stay out there. And then, yeah, the Darby and Sting stuff, I think probably would have been better later in the show, but these are very minor criticisms.
It's minor criticisms. Yeah. And really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
Because actually, I really enjoyed the stuff. I am the only person on this planet that isn't Steve and/or Larson that enjoys the Andrade stuff with Sting and Darby Allin. Like, I know you and Tempo aren't massively into it in the Rampage review. I know, but I think it's great.
It's all right.
I love how rinky-dink Matt Hardy's operation is, that they're having their meetings in, like, stairwells. Yeah. I think it looks proper stupid. I think Andrade's performance is so great. The fact that he calls him Mr. Sting. Yep. And how he thinks that Darby is his son, or that he works for Sting. I think a lot of it is really, really funny. And I think this is way better Andrade stuff than he was doing. And that's a very low bar.
I was going to say, it is better.
Since Andrade came in, this is a very low bar. This is way better stuff that he's been doing. But I've been quite enjoying it.
He said he wants the TNT title.
That is the key to this, is that Darby said, look, I'm not going to go and work for you. I want to focus on winning back the TNT Championship. And Andrade sort of paused and was like, well, maybe I'll win the TNT Championship, because that's a way to get to Darby. I thought it was a really, really nice touch. Andrade going for the TNT title, in for it. Then Wardlow didn't quickly beat the Blade. No. I think it is Wardlow's longest match in AEW no, maybe not. Because
he also had the cage match with Cody.
I will correct myself. It's his longest squash match to date.
Yes.
Because the Blade got in a little bit of offense that went through a commercial break. Not the most exciting stuff. The crowd were quite quiet for it, but then as soon as the Powerbomb Symphony started, massive eruption for it.
I'll say I quite enjoyed watching Wardlow sell, because he hasn't done a lot of it lately, and I thought he looked very good selling, which is reassuring. Yeah. Because, you know, if he's just a guy that can only do offense, when he gets into bigger matches and stuff, then that's going to be less exciting. But he can sell. I thought he was a very effective seller. So when he has a more psychologically driven match down in the future, that bodes well, I think.
I've got a video promo for Pentagon Jr., who is looking to be bringing in Penta Dark from
Penta Oscuro
from Lucha Underground.
Love it.
Exciting.
I'm intrigued.
And we got the Inner Circle team meeting. Thank God Santana and Ortiz were out there. Honestly.
My first note for this was, hey, it's Jake Hager. I haven't seen him in ages.
Oh, there he is. So, you know, attendance was mandatory or whatever, bollocks, like whatever it is with the Inner Circle and stuff. Like, no one outside of Jericho cares about this. And that's like, I am into this storyline because I'm into Santana and Ortiz. And
100%.
that is pretty much where and Eddie Kingston, and really that is where it begins and ends.
Yeah.
So Jericho is a heel again. He has been the babyface since the Inner Circle turned babyface.
That was against the Pinnacle, right? That was when MJF betrayed him, right?
Exactly. Yes, he's been a babyface for about a year or so, maybe less than a year. He's just back to being a heel again.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he is. Like, I think the influencer gimmick is very much a heel shtick.
This was very much a heel shtick through this whole promo.
Because he's talking to Santana and Ortiz about how, like, you robbed the paying fans of seeing Chris Jericho wrestle, like, which is a 100% heel thing to do.
Exactly.
And, like, you know, but also, and you were mentioning earlier, he's a heel who is right. Because Santana and Ortiz have gotten better opportunities in AEW by being associated with Jericho than perhaps not being. So there is some niceness to Jericho's stuff that he's doing here. Yeah,
and I think it was, you know, Santana and Ortiz's main gripe. They came out by themselves, not in the Inner Circle gear with their little jackets. But they came out and were just like, look, we haven't had our opportunities that we deserve in AEW because we've been dragged into this Inner Circle stuff. And the Inner Circle was only ever about Chris Jericho. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, they're right. And then Chris Jericho says, you've had an AEW world title shot and you lost. That's not my fault.
It wasn't because of me.
And it wasn't because of me. You lost, had nothing to do with me. You've had your opportunities. I'm like, yeah, he's kind of right. So, like, both of them were right in this scenario. And I think that I'm more on Santana and Ortiz's side because I want to see him do more. And we've been saying for ages that, like, when's it going to be their time? Because they keep getting dragged into Inner Circle feuds.
And it's made me think now that it's all been by design. I'm almost willing to forgive. Like, Jericho does do a lot of long-term storytelling.
Sure.
That, because they were going to start this feud with the Lucha Bros, then got dragged into Inner Circle's feud with America Top Team. There is a part of me, I don't think I'm fully wedded to this, that it has all been by design that Santana and Ortiz keep getting dragged away from their own pursuits to do Jericho storylines for the last year to build to this point here where they're now going to leave the group. I do think there is an argument to be made that it was done on purpose, but as I said, not 100% wedded to that idea.
I personally don't buy it. I think that AEW is just good at reactive storytelling.
It's also very true.
In that they have seen that there's a natural story there and they go, okay, we'll run with that. You know, when they had last minute, we're going to bring in Jay White onto this show. How's that going to work on this thing? Oh, we'll include it into the Elite stuff and it's actually going to fit really well. Them planning to bring Jay White in was not a thing, but it just fits so well, and they put it straight into the show. They made it part of the diversion of Keith Lee and all that stuff. I think they're just good at reactive storytelling.
I think, I totally buy that. I think that's a very good point. I think Jericho had a really nice line here when he was like, you know, when I brought you into the Inner Circle, I got the wrong members of LAX. Thought that was a really nice line. Then to go to JK, goes like, hey, have you got Homicide and Hernandez's number? Love that because I am an LAX mark. And LAX were my favorite tag team of all time in TNA history until the new version of LAX.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean,
they are just better, aren't they?
They are. Like, when they first came in, it's like, it's new LAX. I was like, what? No, new LAX, get out. Not having that. Oh man, they were actually way better.
Yeah.
Like, this, it never happens. Like the new Rock and Roll Express, like LOD 2000. Like, it's always a crap version. That's
hey man,
new.
Roppongi 3K. Come on, they're great.
Actually, Roppongi 3K is actually a really good example.
Good.
That's a really, really good example of that. But yeah, I was initially dismissive, like, no. Yeah. Actually, they're way better. Also, I hope if they do leave, I hope Diamante comes back with them. I'd love to see them together as an act, and that'd be wicked. But basically, the crux of this is that Santana and Ortiz came out to their own music.
Yes.
Which got no reaction because I don't think anyone's ever heard it before.
I think that was the point.
Yeah.
Is they're starting to get them familiar with Santana and Ortiz's entrance because they're going to split from Inner Circle.
And Sammy also leaves the group as well because he's sick of seeing the infighting and he wants to focus on being the TNT champion.
This was after Sammy had his fantastic line of Santana and Jericho getting in each other's face and Sammy coming to be like, hey, stop, guys, guys, stop it. What? We're a family, stop, guys, stop, family, guys, we're family, stop, guys. It's like, Sammy, say something else.
I thought Santana was great. Ortiz was great.
Yep.
Jericho had some really good lines in there as well. I'm just really looking forward to Eddie Kingston kicking the crap out of him at Revolution.
That'd be fun.
I think Jericho's probably going to win, but I'm really pulling for Kingston.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Please give me Kingston.
Then we got another talking segment backstage. This was the Jay White debut. So Roppongi Vice were cutting this promo. Young Bucks come in. I've missed seeing the Young Bucks. Really, really have. And that's actually one of AEW's great strengths, is you have a group on TV for a while, and then you take them off TV for a while, then you put them back on TV, and you've missed them. And I know Miro is out with injury at the moment, but when Miro comes back, I'd have missed Miro.
One of the greatest things in wrestling history, some of the best moments, are returns and debuts. Those are the two big things when everyone's like, oh, you know, it's the glass shattering and Stone Cold coming out, or it's the Royal Rumble where this big entrance happened, or whatever it may be, right? AEW naturally has them because they just cycle in and out their talent. So you start missing people. So when Kenny Omega comes back, that's going to be a huge return, you know? Yeah. Or even people that, you know, aren't injured and don't need to go off. They just cycle them. They give them time off. They give them time to heal, which is great for more long-term future of their company. They can protect their talents a lot better. And then, like you said, when they come back, I'm going to have missed these guys. So when they come in, they go, oh, I'm so invested into this person because I've missed him and I just want to see him wrestle again. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic way to run your company.
Like I feel like I haven't seen the Young Bucks wrestle in ages.
I know, right?
So I've really missed watching them in ring. So I'm now really looking forward to Rampage. And I know they were meant to have the match with the Roppongi Vice a few weeks back, but it got cancelled because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
So they attack them, and then, as we talked about earlier, Jay White shows up. And later on in the show, there's another promo between the three of them, and the Young Bucks talking about going after the tag titles again. And they're going to start that by being Roppongi Vice. And then Matt looks at Cole and he's just like, do you know what? Like a little text message, you know, just to say that you're bringing Jay White into this because I don't know if you know, but like him and Kenny don't get on. Like they are mortal enemies. Like they're bitter enemies. And Cole's like, that's fine. Like it's absolutely fine. You know, because once you're Bullet Club for life.
Yeah.
Are we going to see the Young Bucks go back into Bullet Club?
I don't know, honestly. But whatever this story is of Adam Cole, I am so into it.
I'm so curious.
I like this entire thing. They are Adam Cole's subtle storytelling, not Adam Cole specifically, but the booking surrounding him. The subtle story that's been building this whole time. It's the kind of thing where you don't realize what's happening. Granted, if you're a more casual viewer, because we dissect these shows probably too much, but if you're a casual viewer, you've noticed that Kenny Omega's gone off and Adam Cole has been like, yeah, I'm with the Elite, we'll do whatever. And you go back a few months, Adam Cole now has such a presence, a stronghold over the Elite, and he's brought in Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, and now he's brought in Jay White, and he's going for the AEW World Championship. He's got a stronghold over the Elite, and he's just running the whole thing in Kenny's absence. I cannot wait for Kenny to come back and confront Adam Cole. To be like, I'm the guy that runs the Elite. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Step down, mate.
So yeah, I'm interested in that. Kenny coming back and having a match with Jay White. Should that happen?
Yep.
Like, I'm so curious to see what Jay is going to do in AEW and how this connects to the wider picture and things.
I honestly don't know if he's going to stick around in AEW that much.
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if they mentioned he was going to be there on Rampage, because they said, you know, for the Young Bucks match, Adam Cole was saying, you know, if you need someone to have you back, Jay White's going to be there on Rampage, so, you know, you can have him kind of thing. So I think he's probably going to be at ringside in their match on Friday for Rampage. But I don't know if he's actually going to come back at all. After that, it might just be like a little like, hey, I can bring Jay White in. And it can be a thing like, you brought Jay White to AEW. Why did you do that kind of thing? Like, Kenny can be pissed off that Jay White was even here. Not that he's, like, continued to be there,
I think you need to do something with it.
I'd love for him to do stuff.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, from a logistics standpoint, I don't think he will.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff with Impact recently. So I think there is definitely scope for him to be doing, like, you know, several appearances, pay-per-view matches, this, that, and the other. Like, I don't think it's, you know, he is not all Elite. He is not signed with the company. But I think him being sort of like a special guest appearance on things. And there's just some really interesting stuff here, because what I like about this story, man, we've got 50 minutes into the show. And
I was about to say, we've got overrunning
massively. This is going to be a long show. Apologies, Denise. The show we are going to record after this is going to be late.
We like to talk.
Yeah, we do like to talk. So what I like about this Adam Cole thing is Matt and Nick made the point that Cole, like Jay White and Kenny Omega's dissension happened when Adam Cole wasn't there. So there is a kayfabe explanation that Adam Cole didn't know. Hey, I wasn't there. I was out at Bullet Club when they were having their discussion. I didn't know that those two didn't get on. There's also a kayfabe thing to say that he does know.
Of course he does.
And he's done it on purpose.
Of course he has.
But he's got that excuse. And he's got that reason to be like, guys, I didn't know, I wasn't there. I'm so curious where it's going to go next. I love it.
Love the whole story. So into it.
Then we got Keith Lee, which was perfect.
Bask in his glory.
Baker and Rosa and Mercedes Martinez cut promos for their no DQ match next week. Really glad that is on Dynamite.
Same.
I think we are setting up for Rosa versus Baker at Revolution, which I'm very into.
Good.
And then we got FTR versus CM Punk and his mystery partner. Now, who did you think it was going to be?
Okay, so I didn't know because I thought I'd worked myself into a bit of a shoot, thinking that I was like, okay, they've already done Jay White on this show. They've done Keith Lee on this show. There's a bunch of other people that had their releases. This could just be someone completely new coming in. And I was like, who would make sense? None of them, but maybe it could be anyway. You know, bring in Killer Cross, bring in Swerve. I don't know, bring in anyone. And none of them really made sense. And then right before the person's music hit, I was like, what if he picked Wardlow?
Oh, that would be really interesting.
And I was like, why if CM Punk just picked Wardlow and Wardlow just like had the match? I was like, I don't know if that would work. Maybe that's not the big like reveal turn moment that you want for Wardlow, but I thought that would have been quite cool. But then we got the music, and I was really happy with the choice they made.
Yeah, I had two thoughts. Samoa Joe. Like
that would have made so much sense.
That's what I thought. Like Joe was the first name that came into my head.
Yeah,
It was something about like, you know, there's no one's backstage that you haven't got any friends or anything like that. And I thought, man, Samoa Joe would make sense. But then I talked myself out of it because I was like, we've just done Jay White, we've just done Keith Lee. Yeah. I don't think you would do a third big debut on this show.
Did you watch All Out? They can do loads of debuts, Luke.
You're absolutely right, Pete. So then I thought, it's Danhausen.
Oh my god.
So I then thought, I was like, it's going to be Danhausen.
Yeah.
Danhausen will come out. But then I was like, I don't think Danhausen's still injured. Man, the chat might be able to update me on this, but I'm pretty sure it's Danhausen.
Yeah.
I did not see Jon Moxley coming whatsoever. Jon Moxley was revealed to be the mystery partner, and he came out to a monster ovation.
It was so good.
This was nuts. This was like on another level.
This is like, I mean, we're evidence of this earlier when we were talking about potential opponents for Keith Lee. When you don't realize you want something until someone mentions it and you go, oh my god, yes, that's so good. When Jon Moxley came out, I was like, yeah, him teaming with Punk is amazing. That's a great idea. So, yeah, it was such a great reaction. I literally, I was writing in FTR versus CM Punk and then I left the gap. And then the music hit, I was like, Jon Moxley? And I did like loads of question marks afterwards. So I was like, oh my god, that's a great idea. Also, I thought it fit so well.
Also, they're both loners.
Yeah, 100%.
Moxley's whole deal in AEW is he's been an island unto himself, only letting in Eddie Kingston.
And this is something that I don't necessarily think that AEW's thought about. But, you know, art's subjective and you can take from it what you want and all that stuff. I like the fact that they're both guys that got burnt out by WWE and then decided, hey, I'm going to go somewhere else because I can't take being here anymore. I'm going to go carve my own path. And then they ended up in AEW. I just think that's great.
That is actually very nice as well.
Yeah.
I think it adds, there's another layer to this as well when you factor in the Danielson stuff from last week of, is this Moxley testing out, what is it like to team with someone else?
Right.
Like, I don't know if that is the story they were telling, but it was some headcanon that I was putting into this as well, which is fun as a wrestling fan. And then they had a fucking brilliant match.
Get those swear jars out.
Yeah, the swear jar ready.
Oh,
but
man.
this match was fucking brilliant.
It was so good. Because the thing is, I was like, oh yeah, Jon Moxley, that's great. Yeah, teaming with CM Punk, that's a great idea. And then I looked again and I was like, wait, it's CM Punk and Jon Moxley versus FTR. This is amazing. This is like a dream match. And oh my god, this was so much fun. They got a lot of time in this match.
Didn't they just?
Oh, and this was pay-per-view caliber stuff.
I didn't think it would go this long either.
Nor did I.
Because they'd announced Jade Cargill's got a match. They announced that Serena Deeb has got a match.
Yeah.
And you've got a world title match in the main event. I was like, man, this match isn't going to go long. And it did.
Yeah.
And then that made me go like, man, that world title match isn't getting any time. And it did.
It did.
I don't know how AEW managed this every single week.
Because they have picture-in-picture ad breaks. They get so much more time. Oh, man. God, this match was so good. There was so much fantastic storytelling. It's the classic FTR formula. Don't let them tag.
Yeah.
Don't let them
Oh
tag.
my god, I love
Don't
it.
let
I
them
love it. I
tag.
love it. I love it.
It's such good psychological storytelling. And every single time, I swear, I've seen a lot of FTR matches by this point. I swear, every single FTR match, they find a new way to try and stop the person from tagging. And this time there was such a great one where Moxley was going to tag Punk. So Dax went around the apron to goad Punk into attacking him away from the corner so he wasn't there to get the tag. He just sacrificed himself and be like, yeah, come beat me up, Punk. It means you won't get the tag. It's just, oh, they're so clever.
And for Marks, Punk wasn't there.
Punk wasn't there.
Punk
right?
wasn't there to be tagged in,
Yeah.
right? Like, so that is, a partner being like, letting me down, or maybe I don't want to go into this Danielson thing. Like, so there's just some really interesting stuff in this. I thought all 4 men knocked it out the park.
Yep.
CM Punk had to muscle Tully Blanchard up to hit the GT.
He did not want to go up,
I was
did he?
going to say, because he went to hit. It felt like they had planned the spot where Punk was going to hit Tully with the GTS, and the second it happened, Tully was like, "Oh, I'm 100 years old. Maybe we shouldn't do this." And CM Punk was like, "Too bad, old man. Up you get.
Here's my knee in your face."
It's knees to faces time."
Yeah.
It was a wild brawl. They went all over the building. Like you said, it went in a long time, and I loved every single freaking second of this.
Yeah.
To the point, and this is how great this match was. You get into this match, you're like, well, Punk's got to win to get his rematch with MJF. He's probably going to win because they're selling the MJF story, get to Revolution, blah, 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 blah. There were so many near falls in this match where I was like, oh my God, they're going to beat Punk again. And they're going to extend this story out. I really bought into some of FTR's near falls on this. It was tremendous.
They had a ring bell spot at the side
So
into
good.
a brainbuster.
Yeah.
Brilliant
So good.
near fall.
Which was how they won the AAA tag titles.
Exactly.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
They
so
had
good.
they had the big rig, which Moxley broke up, which
Yeah.
was great. Just so much good stuff. I'd also like to point out that I think I'm in love with Cash Wheeler.
Thank you.
I love that man.
Thank you so much.
He's
Another
the
person
greatest.
aboard the cash train.
Oh my God, he's so good. Him in the opening segment when he came out, him and Dax linking arms and him coming out as if he was the valet and doing the waves, and then like he shook the hand of MJF's like cardboard cutout. He's just so funny. I love Cash so much.
My wife was in the room during this match. Her comment was, "It's too long."
Come on!
She doesn't like wrestling.
No.
But I turned to her and I've said, because I've said this in the podcast a lot, Cash Wheeler has got my ideal body type. Like if I could have any body type, it would be that. It's a big barrel of a man like that.
Yes.
And my wife looked at me and said, "You will never look like that." I was like, I know.
I mean, she's not wrong,
But
but
I know that. She's
Yeah.
like, "No, I'm just saying, if you try to put on muscle, you'd probably look more like CM Punk." I was like, I don't think I'd ever look that good either.
Yeah, no,
But I
that's
would like to
exactly
look like that barrel of a man.
Yeah.
I love this match. My note exactly was like, dang, it was messy, but I loved that match. So good.
Yep.
Jade Cargill quickly beat. No, actually, again, this wasn't
wasn't quick.
It was another long squash match against the debuting AQA, who was also formerly of NXT.
I believe so.
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but she was another one of the releases.
I don't want to get it
whether
wrong, so I won't say.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I can't. Apologies. I'll just get it wrong.
Yeah.
She's debuting here. I don't know if she's officially signed to AEW because I haven't seen the All Elite graphic. But I thought this was a really, really... she looked great. She has got a wonderful shooting star press.
Very good. Yeah.
And I love the fact they let her hit it as well. And so they let her hit it, and then, this and the other. Then she goes up for the second one, and that's how Jade gets her out.
Yeah.
Jade hitting Tour of the Islands was wonderful.
It was really good.
It was Zeta Ramirez.
Zeta Ramirez, yeah. I thought it was, but I didn't want to say it.
I didn't want to say it just in case I was wrong.
Yeah.
Her Tour of the Islands, man, was rad.
So good.
She drilled her into the mat. So good.
Also, Jade Cargill on TBS, defending the TBS championship.
And then, Pete, we got a second women's match on the show. What? What is this? 2? What is this? Raw in 2016?
I'm seeing double here. 4 women's matches.
Guys, there was a second women's match on this show.
That's crazy.
When they put the graphic up for it, I thought one of those ain't happening.
Bullshit. Don't buy it.
And she told him out and be like, don't buy that. One of them ain't happening. But it did. Serena Deeb beat Katie Arquette in under a minute in her new gimmick, which is a 5-minute rookie match. I think that we are going to be I don't think I'm like out of the woods or anything. I think a lot of people are probably thinking this. This will probably lead to another debut. You can make the argument that like coming in with a 0-0 record makes you a rookie in AEW.
Ember Moon.
That's what I was going to say. Like Athena and Ember Moon coming in was like the perfect.
Or maybe
person
Mia
for that.
Yim. Could see that as
Mia
well.
Yim's a really good shout as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that, the first person to beat Serena, I'd like them to be brought in by Hikaru Shida as well.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Because Hikaru Shida can't do the match because she is not a rookie.
Yes.
But Hikaru Shida bringing in someone to be like, to kind of screw over Serena Deeb, and then you can do the Shida Deeb match, I think would be a lot good. And even then, you don't have to beat Deeb. You just have to go longer than the 5 minutes.
And I think that you could totally do that, and you could have Deeb afterwards be like, "You're not a rookie. It didn't count."
Yeah.
You know, like
Chat saying Tony Storm.
Tony Storm's a great shout.
That's a great shout
Yep,
right there.
Love it, love it, love it.
So 2 women's matches, and both were real good.
They were.
The Ass Boys cut a promo on Jurassic Express.
If you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you: new champs.
You love the Ass Boys. And then, if this episode wasn't stacked enough already with the MJF stuff, the Inner Circle teaming, the Keith Lee debut, the Jay White debut, that incredible tag match, and 2 women's matches, we had, a kick-ass AEW World Championship match. My interest level going into this was diddly dick.
Yep.
Because I did not buy Lance Archer beating Hangman Page 1 iota.
No.
Granted, that's not the worst thing in the world. He is a filler feud. But my bigger beef with it is the crowd aren't buying into it. And that is more of a problem, I guess, for this than anything else. But for me, at least, anyway. But Christmas Day, this match ruled.
This was so much fun.
This was great. It started off as a brawl in the back. It's a Texas death match. You can only win by submission or TKO. And they brawled backstage, and they get onto the stage, and Hangman yeets the lad through some glass. You can't say yeet because he didn't properly yeet. It's not like a Keith Lee yeet. He just literally threw him through some glass.
Sure.
Yeah. And so Lance Archer already bleeding.
Yes.
Already, I love the match.
Great.
And then Hangman hits the buckshot straight away, and then Archer goes down, gets just back up at 9, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so into this match. And then Dan Lambert comes out, and he unscrews the top turnbuckles so the top rope falls, and I was like, he's eliminated the buckshot, which is Archer's weakness.
Yeah, legitimately, like he started undoing the top rope, and I was like, wait, why is he undoing the top rope? I mean, like, you know, I guess it looks more chaotic if the top ropes come undone. I don't know what's going on here. And then the commentary were like, I think he might be taking away Hangman's buckshot. And I was like, fucking genius.
Yeah.
God.
Oh
yeah.
God.
So good.
Absolutely. And then both men juiced because
oh God, Hangman.
Hangman
Oh my God.
bled a
So
gusher
much blood.
in this. They set up some tables on the outside to be Chekhov's tables. They did. They went all over the place. The crowd popped so huge for him stabbing him in the head with the fork, doing the Abbey spots. The crowd went ballistic for Jake Roberts doing the short arm clothesline and then teasing the DDT, DDT. And like the crowd were going nuts for it, and Lance stopped him doing the DDT, and the crowd booed him, and then Hangman hit the DDT, and then I was like, "This is amazing!" I absolutely loved this match.
Lance Archer then tips up the ring steps onto its side, right? Gets up on the apron and goes up for a blackout, and I was like, "Well, he's not hitting this. That would be ridiculous." And then he just hit it, and I was like, "Oh my God, Hangman! Please stop!"
And the exact same thing. I was like, "Well, it's not going to do that, is it?" I mean, yeah, it's cool that you're setting up for the spot, but you know, oh my God, he did it! And the bump that like he just bounced off a bit. Like,
bounced off the
zero
steps.
give to that.
Oh
my God, it
God.
was sickening. Yeah, upturned steps, hitting the blackout off the apron onto them. Disgusting it was.
I was rereading my notes, but blackout on the upturned steps, F and L, Christ on an effing bike.
And then, like, yeah, he stabs him with the fork, doing the Abby the Butcher spots and like licking it and stuff. You sick F chance. And I wrote my notes here. I bet Pete's not having a fun time with this match.
I'm having such fun!
I'm so glad to see, because I know you've been like this with some violence in the time.
See, the thing is, violence is okay. Don't do chair shots to the head.
No.
That's my thing. That's when I'm like, that's taking me out of that now. Okay, cool.
That's fair.
But this was fun. This was a lot of fun.
So, we get to the conclusion of this match. This excellent world title match. Love this match. And Hangman gets barbed wire wrapped around his arm, right? And he starts forearming Lance in the head. And Lance is sort of like toppling backwards towards the 2 tables that are set up outside. And I was thinking to myself, right, and then he'll do the buckshot, and then he'll hit him with the barbed wire clothesline, and that's how you finish the match. I was like, how are you going to do the buckshot without the top rope? And then Hangman takes the barbed wire off his arm. And I was like, I really thought they would do that. And he drops on the floor. The referee bends down to move the barbed wire that Hangman did. And Hangman does the buckshot lariat off the referee's back, clatters with Lance. They go through the table, and I lost my mind. My wife was trying to tell me a story about a song she's singing to my child, and I just screamed over her. Because I'm a terrible father, and I'm a terrible husband. She was telling me this story, and then he did that, and I went, "Oh my God, the buckshot!" What an innovative finish! I loved it so much. And then I said to him, I was like, "I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
I was like, you literally just saw me mark out.
Yeah, that was proper marking out. Look, the buckshot's a bit silly. All right.
No, it's not. It's not, Pete. No, it's not. The talk he gets, Pete. The talk he gets.
It's a lariat. It's like the Rainmaker. It's a lariat. That's what it is. But having the extra thing of having to do the flip to get into it, it made this spot for the talk. It just made this spot so brilliant. I loved it much.
It's my second favorite buckshot after the one he did over the bar and the Stadium Stampede at Double or Nothing a couple of years ago. This was an awesome match. It's Hanger's third title match now, and the third time he's been put through the ringer.
He sure has.
For a title match. The hour-long draw with Danielson, the brawl with Danielson in the rematch, and then this brutal match here. Like, the commentary were like, "Man, this is one of the most brutal matches we've had in AEW. We've had like a history of really brutal matches." That's the story they're telling here, is that Hanger is putting himself through the ringer here. Is that going to be his downfall against Adam Cole? Because he's going into, like, 'cause Adam Cole comes out at the end of this match and essentially says, "I am your next challenger." So that looks like that's our Revolution match, right? Is he going into that match now at a massive disadvantage because of the matches he's had? Adam Cole has been having matches, but it's been against Evil Uno. It's been against, Orange Cassidy and things like that.
Yeah.
Hanger's been, like, battering himself to be this fighting champion. Is that going to be his downfall?
It very well might be, honestly. And the thing is, with the cycle that they do with their wrestlers, like we were talking about earlier, I could see Hangman going a bit nuts and putting on these absolute bangers of matches and completely destroying himself, dropping the belt at Revolution, and then taking time off and just recovering after that. I could totally see that happening. So
maybe, I mean, a 6-month reign.
It's fine
with 3 title defenses. Like, it doesn't feel like an epic title run. I'm not sure it's going to be 6 months by that point. But he went at the end of November.
No, it's 4 months.
4 months. Yeah, like a 4-month reign.
Like,
it's the shortest one in AEW
It would
history.
definitely be the shortest one. And the thing is, I could totally see it going either way. I could totally see it being Adam Cole's first proper loss, not including the one against Orange Cassidy, because that could play into the story of that. I could also totally see Adam Cole winning, because that plays into his story with the Elite and
Kenny
Omega. Yeah. I could also see, Hangman has, as Ollie keeps mentioning, he's better chasing the belt. He's the babyface reigns. He's been putting on bangers of matches, but the stories have been a bit.
I'm hoping this is going to be the first great story, because I think the Hangman one, the Danielson one started great. The matches were awesome.
Yes, they were.
But I don't think the story fully connected the way that some of us would have liked.
Yes.
I don't think. But the matches were stellar. And I think the same thing with this Lance Archer thing. The story hasn't been great, but the match was stellar. I'm hoping that here we get a great storyline and a stellar match out of it as well, which I think those two together, 100% I can see.
Yeah.
Ollie Davis is just forum and Twitter trolls in 2015. They were like, "I don't know why the Bullet Club keep pushing Adam Page." Because in all fairness, that's what we were all saying at the time.
Yep.
Everyone was like, "Why do they keep pushing Hangman Page?" Like, I get he's fine and everything. What fools we were.
Yeah, this
I
is
think
why.
he is the best.
Yeah.
Right. That was the show. Took us a long time to review it.
Yep, sorry about that.
No,
rating.
I don't mind. 5 out of 5, mate. The community tab agree with that as well. 80% of our audience were a 5 out of 5 All Elite. 13%. That is 93% of our audience.
Goodness me.
Thought it was a 4 out of 5 and above show.
I think they're wrong. It's a 7 out of 5 show.
Absolutely.
It had Keith Lee on it. 7 out of 5.
This show ruled.
Yeah.
Absolutely ruled. I loved every single second of it.
Yeah.
Perfect stuff.
Wonderful show.
Right, let's give a quick shout out to our $25 and above Patreon Pledgehammers. We've got some cool stuff coming up on Patreon very soon. The Team Danuke mailbag show will be up I don't know if I'm actually going to get to record that with Denise today because she's got some stuff to do, so we may have to do that on a different day next week. But we're also recording our review of No Way Out 2009, myself and Ollie Davis, which will be going up next week. That should be out by next Friday. And if you are one of our $25 and above Pledgehammers or more, you get yourself a cool nickname and some Hall of Fame music that sounds a little bit like this.
Don't preface that saying cool nickname. It might not be cool, but it is a wrestling nickname, and that's the important bit.
No, it's cool.
Yeah.
Like Vito Ventura, Pet Detective.
That's some good karma. Good dharma.
Who Wants to Walk with Daniel Elias Chrysler.
Have a glass of sherry, Martel J. Simmons.
Angelic Angelo Magado.
Michael Jensen Radio.
Send Me to Heaven, Evan Reich.
Ari and Shifra, the booze awaits.
You'll never get this name right, you idiots, Matthew Zimjewski.
This is some kind of Patreon shout-out. Nate drops surname.
Uncanny Manny.
And finally, for this Hall of Fame class of the 10th of February 2022, forgot the date,
Nailed it.
Meticulous Michaela Traub.
Thank you all so much for backing us on Patreon. We love every single one of you. Right, let's get through the rest of your Ultrachats because I bet you have got a bunch of stuff to say. Yes, you do. We're kicking things off on the Elite Switchblade Jay White stuff. Christopher Jazz. Oh, no, we haven't. My God. We've got a bunch of stuff that's come in for the Keith Lee stuff.
Yep.
Peter Mullins said, my favorite thing about the Keith Lee debut, other than seeing how high you can lob Isaiah Cassidy, how excited he made JR. Look at this kid. It's a young Mark Henry. How strong is he? Good God almighty. All that sort of stuff.
It was very good.
Michaela Traub. Hi, friends. First time seeing Keith Lee wrestle, and I am impressed. Any criticism I can possibly give is that Mia wasn't there too. It takes 3 minutes to read through the men's roster and 30 seconds to read through the women's. Congrats, Keith. That is a great point.
That's true. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they should necessarily be paired together on screen, but I could totally see Mia joining the company in a bit. Maybe she's going to go somewhere else, though. She might not be in AEW.
Jensen Renwick, Keith Lee rocks. Yes, he does. And you rock as well for being a member for the last 6 months. Anonymous says, I really hope that when Keith becomes AEW champion, AEW sign Brock Lesnar and then he gets to face him. After that Royal Rumble, I really wanted to see that one-on-one. When do you think Keith becomes champion? Will he beat Cole again for the title? I don't need to see Keith Lee as AEW champion like instantly. I don't really need to see him as TNT champion instantly. I'm just happy to see him there.
Yeah, I'd like to see him as TNT champion. I think that's a really good place for him. I don't need to see him as AEW World Champion anytime soon. I think there's a lot of people that could line up for that title. If he's one of them, fantastic. I love Keith Lee. I'd love to see him in that spot. But I don't need him there. He can put on fantastic matches wherever he is on the card.
Absolutely. The legit underboss can't wait to see Keith Lee manage Adam Cole on BTE. 100%.
God,
I love that so much. There's going in Raw as well.
Yeah.
Christopher Jazzcat said, my entire town knows Jay White showed up because of how loud I yelled. I think he's the first current main roster to show up in AEW from New Japan. Our main eventer. Poor old Kenta. From New Japan. I can't wait to see where this goes. White versus Danielson now, please. Breathe with the mother effing Switchblade. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what happens with knife perverts. I don't know if we're gonna. I'd love to see him and Danielson, but I don't know how long he's sticking around for. I could see Jay White just doing elite Bullet Club stuff. And then we'll see where we go from there.
100%, yeah.
Laximham, Narasimham B. I think Cole biding his time with the Bucks, gathering allies in Fish. It's been a long show. O'Reilly, Fish, Jay White eventually will turn the Elite as revenge for what they did to him. When Omega returns, it could be Cole's faction, probably not officially Bullet Club, versus the Elites.
Paragon, right? That was the rumored thing.
Harrison Earl. So what we're saying is Bucks and Omega versus the Undisputed Era versus White and GOD, three-way blood and guts. Might as well throw Finn and Good Bros in there while we're at it. Also, Cash Wheeler is the most handsomest man in wrestling. Isn't he just, though?
He's great. Handsomest?
Yeah.
Keith Lee's there.
That's true.
Come on.
FTR is the greatest tag team of all time. It's not hyperbole.
Hyperbole.
Amon says, just a thought. How good of a story would it be if before Omega left, when he had that segment with the Bucks and Cole, he said, I'm going to watch the match back and assess, telling viewers that he might have seen Matt give Hangman the nod of approval. I like the fact that he didn't. So he can come back into it, and that is something we can watch him see like in person.
Yeah.
Like, we can watch him like find that out together. And Keith Lloyd says, America causes Cole to
America?
It's been a long time. America. No. Omega causes Cole to lose a Revolution. Book it.
I wouldn't want him to cause a distraction finish. I would want Hangman to beat Cole clean, and then Kenny comes out afterwards to confront Cole post-match. I would love that personally.
JXJ, another thing you can say for Cole is forming the Bullet Club in AEW. What if when Kenny returns, his stand is, you broke us apart and now I'm bringing us back without you. That's quite nice.
Interesting.
I'll hot tag over.
Absolutely. On the subject of CM Punk, MJF, Wardlow, and Mox, the Guilty Hat said, maybe a controversial opinion, but I really have no interest in seeing Punk versus MJF again anytime soon. Last week was brilliant and it should have ended there. I'd be much more interested in a triple threat for the world title with MJF, Cole, and Hangman.
I was with you until that final point.
Okay.
I don't think he needs, because MJF isn't involved in that story.
No. He said he wants to be a world champion, but then CM Punk came out. So.
Yeah.
Lakshmi Narasimhan B said, the Punk match was also awesome. Punk has had a solid outing with a great Eddie Kingston match, but the MJF match seems to have unlocked some wrestling Super Saiyan stuff. Speaking of Kingston, reckon he would have gone WTF Mox backstage?
Well, you can go watch our interview that we did with Kingston last Friday, where he talked about his reaction to Mox's chat with Bryan Danielson. Spoiler, Eddie Kingston don't like many people.
No.
And Danielson's one of them.
On the subject of Hangman and Lance Archer, Jared Hazelwood says Archer's match with Kaz makes more sense. If you look back at his matches, they are all about overkill. He doesn't know when to put the match away when it's won. Most of his major losses came from not doing this, and a babyface takes the advantage.
That's an excellent point, Jared. I hadn't picked up on that. I think the commentary maybe do a better job of putting that over, but yeah, that is something that I have missed.
Meng says, as much as I love Mox and Punk together, I got quite annoyed to see them beat FTR, who's supposed to be the best tag team in the world, especially in the same program where Santana and Ortiz talking about playing second fiddle to Jericho.
I do get that.
Yeah,
I hear that point.
I understand, because, yeah, one of my common criticisms is, two singles guys shouldn't beat
an established tag team, yeah.
I think it put over, the commentators put this over as well. It's just like, CM Punk just really wants that rematch with MJF so much that he managed to overcome the odds. Also, they're like two of the top stars in the company, so I don't think it's too bad. If it was just two random singles guys that came together to beat FTR, it's different. But it's Punk and Mox, so I don't mind it too much. Ibby B said, hiya lads, just want to share that Hangman, since returning, has put on nothing but banger after banger. I do feel like some fans are still getting used to him becoming the big boss character rather than on the chase. Has excelled in every style. Can't wait for Cole.
Completely agree.
Jack Nichols said, that main event ruled. That snaky short arm was fantastic, and the box shot lariat was innovative as heck. Did either of you two go to that WCPW show where the top rope broke on Ricochet and Ospreay in minute 1? Page versus Vance was much better.
I did not. I never went to a WCPW show.
I did. I went to a few.
On the subject of the Inner Circle, Chris Nolan, the Christopher Nolan,
yeah,
said the Jericho versus Ortiz promo was great. Some of the promo that both Chris and Ortiz said sounded so familiar, I was sure it was from Chris's wrestling past. Speaking of the Jericho promo, I just remember the story he told with them not tagging him in the match, as well as fans paying to see him. That was the thing that happened between him and Punk in a tag match with Edge. Oh, was that like back in the day? Interesting. On the subject of the women's division, Ronan C. Forget Keith Lee and Jay White, with the biggest debut on Dynamite was a second women's match. Granted, it only lasts 1 minute, but it is a start.
Legitimately. I thought that was like, well, it's a start.
Yeah.
It's something. Keep doing more of that.
Absolutely fine with it. And also, Serena Deeb on TV is always great in my books.
Serena Deeb on TV. You had a promo regarding the Mercedes Martinez Thunder Rosa stuff with Britt Baker. There's lots of women's feuds going on. They're just starting to showcase them a bit more.
William Rosmer said, I figured out they were able to have 2 women's matches on the show because they are now limitless.
Very good.
Wah, wah.
Very good.
Hannah Allen said, hey, gents, Keith Lee. Love seeing the man in AEW, and it was nice seeing him happy in the ring. Shirt off, cheeky nod, so much love. Switchblade, OMG. Boys, I'm an Aussie, right, but I'm also half Kiwi. Imagine if I tipped New Zealand dollars.
Ooh.
Proper stoked. His in-ring work speaks for itself, and I'm so excited he's in AEW. Jay White, Danhausen a few weeks ago. My fantasy roster is complete with RJ City and Effie. Effie is indie for life and respect. AEF and W, lots of love. LIW 4444F, JTJ.
444F.
That's what it says.
Jesus. Life. LYF.
Yeah,
life.
Stephen Guzman. It's been a long show.
Yep.
I've been to AEW Grand Slam, the first Dynamite on TBS, and the show last night in person as well. I felt like all of pay-per-views. Love how special AEW makes Dynamite. Also, I got to be in TV for Moxley's entrance. Stay safe. Love y'all. Have a great day.
Amazing
That's awesome.
stuff.
Matthew Robinson said, I think AEW protected the disqualification finish since they talked about on commentary. What do you guys think? So this is in reference to the Rampage match with the DQ.
As DQ finishes go, I thought it was good. I just don't want them to do too many of them because, they really don't need to do a lot of them, and they've done a few lately. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, 2 in...
Couple of months. Yeah, when they've done 2 years of not doing them at all.
At least this was but both of them at least have been storyline. I think,
absolutely, it's storyline purpose, and I get that.
As I think we said this with DQ and how can they possibly coexist, and this like they are good finishes.
Yeah, they are
very good finishes when you use them in storylines that need them and necessitate them. It's just it can be overplayed if you do it every single time, and it's just using it as an excuse.
I agree. I think it's more being a bit cautious because we've seen the DQ beat overused. It's like, okay, they've done 2 now, and they're both fine. They're both good finishes. It's just like, just stop doing them because then they can start to become a crutch when you start using them more. That's all.
The thing that actually annoyed me the most about it, you'll be surprised to hear this, was Chris Jericho.
Shocking.
Because Chris Jericho screaming on commentary, you never see DQs in AEW. I'm like, fuck off, Chris. You tool.
I mean, I feel that way a lot when I watch AEW.
Martin, it's been a very sweary show. I'm very sorry, Mods. And editor Vinny. Martin Walker, my wife, my 10-year-old son, and I have COVID right now. So sorry to hear that. Fully vaxxed, so mild symptoms, but my son isn't sleeping well. When he woke at 1 a.m. last night, we decided to get up and watch AEW Dynamite live. After the show, he said, WWE is pretend, AEW is real.
Amazing. That's so cool.
That's great. Bacon Rasher. Hi, lads. Raw, nothing happened. AEW, everything happened. Mox and Punk managed to coexist. Top matches, great story progression, and promos. Also, did we see the smartest dressed AEW fan ever? P.S. LIW will take the AEW review and Pete will rule forever as champion.
You know it.
Anonymous said, long-time watcher, back when Luke still had hair and Ollie didn't. First-time Ultrachatter. Loved this episode of Dynamite and AEW, but with that much talent, do you think AEW should do some kind of brand split to feature everyone or what? No, I don't. No, because I think what we talked about earlier, cycling in and out of talent, I think is a much more effective way than a brand split.
100%.
Yeah, completely.
It allows people to rest as well for the room.
And Nate S. Ollie, can you at least give that a 5 out of 5? Lol, did you cry like a baby when Keith Lee debuted? I didn't either, just had dust in both my eyes. Love this company. Keith Lee, Darby, Andrade, Wardlow. That ladder match is going to rule. Going to Revolution. I cannot wait, you lucky bugger.
Yeah.
Yoko Littner, I have no idea how he did it, but somehow TK managed to debut my 2 favorite wrestlers on the same show. Jay White and Keith Lee are all I've ever wanted to shop on Dynamite. Show rating, infinity out of 10.
Agreed.
Brian Moore, we got Jay White, we got Keith Lee, we got 2 women's matches. Sorta, kinda, close. It's progress. 5 out of 5 show. I do want to say about Hangman and his story was phase 1 in the AEW. We're now in phase 2, which in my opinion is Adam Cole's story.
I like it.
Like that a lot.
Yeah.
Peter Mullins, honestly, this episode was perfect. I loved every minute. Last week's Rampage was the first AEW that I noticed my AEW excitement levels were beginning to drop. I could have taken it and left it this week, but after this week, hype levels to the moon. Otis and Money, I love Out of Touch, no understanding of friendship, Rich Man Andrade. Also, give me the Sammy Andrade Darby triple threat at Revolution. That's what my money's on as well.
I'd like
triple
that.
threat. I think that's where we're going. I'd love that. I'll hot tag back.
Charles Berg said, I noticed something. The difference in the eyes of people in AEW versus WWE. When in AEW, these wrestlers look alive, vibrant, and happy. In WWE, for the most part, they look dead behind the eyes. What's your favorite wrestling move? Mine's gotta be a clothesline.
I think a DDT. Like a standard wrestling move.
Powerbomb.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Love a powerbomb.
Charles Berg, actually, that's an interesting... Like, I remember Jericho's first book when he compares WCW to WWE, and he said it was like seeing the world in color. And, like, that's the difference. And I kind of get that impression from people who go from the WWE locker room where you're constantly walking around on eggshells. You don't know how secure your job is.
Yeah.
You can't get a meeting with the top guy because... you've got to sit outside of his office for 8 hours, and even then you might not get a meeting with him. To then going to this promotion where that guy is just sat and available to talk and available to chat, and it's a collaborative process and everyone is happy, must be just like a, wow, is this what it can be like?
Totally. Jack Nichols said, I'd like to apologize for my irresponsible Jerry Lawler joke on Tuesday. It was immature and juvenile, and as much as I would like to crack wise about those descriptors, I would hate for you guys to get demonetized. Take care, lads.
It's all right. We didn't get demonetized for you.
It's all good. Dylan Kilonzo said, it's not a coincidence that on my birthday, AEW puts its best show ever. Thanks, Tony. Also, Luke, about that Avatar The Last Airbender take, I didn't realize it was a joke, so I'm super duper soz about delivering cardboard cutouts of Pete's ass man video to your house.
I'm an ass man.
You're welcome. No, it's absolutely fine. Not a lot of people did not pick up on the sarcasm. We talked about it a lot on the AEW podcast outro.
I think you just need to get better at telling jokes, Luke. Anonymous said, 2 bold guys on my screen. What is this? WWE? Lol. Okay, enough of the jokes. I missed Laurie on screen. Which one of you is Laurie? Love you guys. Hashtag Keith and AEW confirmed.
We did say before we started we look like a father and son pairing. We're like the Sting and Darby
We've
Allin.
got matching t-shirts as well.
We're the Sting and Darby Allin of the AEW review podcast.
Mr. Owen. Jack Nichols says, don't you dare stop talking. Last chat just to say happy birthday to my cousin Tom, 34 years old today. He's the best and loves wrestling. I'm out. Have a great weekend, fellas.
Happy birthday to you, Tom.
A couple last minute ones as well from Dale D that said, I was there live and it was a blast. Crowd was hot all night. Biggest pops of the entire night were Keith Lee, Danhausen, and Hook. Can't wait until they come back to either Philly or AC again. Hybridium said, hey lads, jam that Jamhausen. I just want to mention that this weekend I got to meet Danhausen, Ethan Page, Doc Gallows, Will Hobbs, and Brian Myers. And I got to buy some action figures. Danhausen for Quizzlemania. Come on, Adam. Also, bring back RJ City ASAP.
Email support@wrestletalk.com. Send us those. If you got any photos of anything, send it on. We can feature those on the podcast. We love getting people. Like if you met a wrestler recently, send us an email support@wrestletalk.com. We do read out every email that we do get sent on the podcast intro and outro. That's available in video form for members and Patreon backers as well. Because we love hearing from you guys, and also we like seeing people interacting with wrestlers. We had an email from someone recently. We read it on Tuesday's show, where they met who was it? Serena Deeb and Jay White at a signing.
Ooh.
And got both of them to sign their pictures with Jam That Jam.
No way.
Jay White knew what it meant.
Really?
Serena Deeb had no idea.
Well, yeah, that checks out.
It checks out. So they had to explain it. And all he said, he goes like, you're going to regret that a couple of years.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be weird. Yeah.
But yeah, that's rad. So please do email support@wrestletalk.com. But Pete, I think that is just about it's going to do it for this episode. Thank you once again to our sponsor, BetterHelp, HELP.com /wrestle. Click the link in the video description down below. Use that promo code WRESTLE for 10% off your first month. BetterHelp will assess your needs, match you with your own licensed professional therapist. If you're matched with a therapist within 48 hours, it's not a crisis line. It is not self-help. It is professional therapy done securely. This service is available for clients worldwide. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today, and so do we. Your mental health, your well-being is important to us. It's important to BetterHelp. It's important to all the people around you. So if you do feel like you need to reach out and talk to people, there's a link in the video description down below for you. We highly, highly recommend their service. Pete, thank you for joining me on this episode of Dynamite. You're probably going to be here on Raw as well. Gone for an hour and a half on today's show.
Christ, we talk a bit, don't we?
Sorry about that, everyone. But we'll see you tomorrow. It'll be Adam and Denise on the Team Damn show tomorrow, because I am at an event where I will be interviewing, get this, Mustache Mountain, and get this, the Street Profits, and get this,
gets better,
Bianca Belair.
Woo!
I am interviewing them in person tomorrow, which I'm very excited to do. I'm very excited to go and meet them.
Should be a grand old time.
So we'll have those videos up on the channel next week, so please do subscribe. Thank you to the nearly 3,000 people that tune into this stream today. We love each and every single one of you, and we will see you tomorrow and beyond. Jam that jam, everyone.